So you want to build Gold Pride P.U.N.K after the recent September 2023 ban list. Well, you've come to the right place. My name is Toon World, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing to all of you my take on Gold Pride P.U.N.K in the month of October 2023. Now, I will be going through my choices fairly quickly and briskly, so if at any point in this video you have any comments or questions on my particular choices, please leave them down below. I'm always happy to reply to any comments that are said, and give you further insight into what I have here in the case I wasn't clear enough already. Remember to like the video and remember to subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel grow. Otherwise, I'll get on with the deck profile. Alright, so for the main deck monsters, let's talk about the P.U.N.K names first. The ones I want to get out of the way are the ones that should be relatively self-explanatory for those that have been playing P.U.N.K. The 3 Foxy Toon, 3 Xayman, these are the core of your deck. No reason to play any less than 3 of either. The 1 Shirakusai, 1 Madam Spider, 1 Wagon. You need 1 copy per what each of them do. I don't think you need to bump any of them up to 2 or 3. And so we have 3, or 1, 1, 1, 3, 3. The 1 Ogre Dance, the reason why I'm playing this at 1 is threefold, in spite of the fact that you might see other lists playing 2 or 3. So the first part of this is the fact that with Gold Pride P.U.N.K, your deck is already fairly consistent already, and so you don't need to allocate so much space to consistency slots over using those slots for something else. Say more hand traps, concessions, generic cards, whatever. And so leaving this card at 1 still lets the deck overall be consistent while giving it enough space to allocate towards those types of techs. The second reason is because with the Arise-Heart ban, it's possible combo decks come back into the format, and so with combo decks coming back into the format, the hand trap that likes to pop its head up is Droll. By playing too many copies of this card, we play too much more into Droll than we already do, and so I think playing it at 1 minimizes that sort of damage in those particular lines of play you have to do. Finally, the only lights and darks, if you look at the deck list that I have planned, you can scroll to the end of the video if you'd like to see it. The only real lights and darks we're playing are like Foxy Toon, Ogre Dance, and I believe Psychic and Punisher. And so by minimizing the amount of darks and lights we play in this deck, we minimize the amount of times your opponent can summon Bystials using our monsters as opposed to theirs. So to recap, basically, you don't need that much consistency, plays around Droll, and also plays around Bystials. The final part of this is the 2 Deer Note. I know a lot of people are only playing 1 copy. I am just biased. I really like the card at 2. I've been playing this deck for quite a while, and even though I know 1 is technically right in some sense, me having played this for so long, I prefer to just play 2. So if you want to, you can always change this card or 1 copy of this card to something else. That's perfectly fine. Otherwise, these are my P.U.N.K names. And now I shall fast forward to the Gold Pride names and the generic monsters that aren't hand traps. So these are the Gold Pride names we are playing and the generic non-hand trap monsters we are playing. For the Gold Pride package, we're only playing 7 names. I know that 8 could be considered a more valid number since you want to make sure you not only have enough names to do your combo, but to also have the ability to summon them off of the Start Your Engines. However, I felt like there were a lot of situations in testing where I was opening too many names, and if you've played this deck enough, you'll notice that if you can't pay life points, these cards are basically nothings in your hand. They're like bricks. And so by trying to fine-tune the ratios, I felt like 7 was appropriate. The 1 Nitro Head, I know Kashtira it has been hit at this point, but I still like it in here as a rank 8 body. The token effect can come in handy against decks that main deck evenly, and if Kashtira does still end up being like some sort of rogue deck, it's there for that, but I do feel like Nitro Head merits a spot in the main. 2 Captain Carry, I have cut this down to 2 over 3, mainly because I feel like Leon is the better extender to play at 3 over Captain Carry, especially if you're playing only 7 names like I am. And since I'm only playing 1 Start Your Engines, there's not really too much use for those additional Captain Carries. So 2 here. 3 Leon, I already hinted at this previously. I really like how Leon is a great extender for the Gold Pride package and just in general. I know it does suck to have to use it to make the Chariot carry if it is your only level 3 extender in hand during your usual line, but I think just being able to see it multiple times per game, being able to summon it off of Start Your Engines if you need to, is really nice. One Rollerballer, fairly self-explanatory. The reason why I'm not playing 2 is, well, I'm playing 2 Deer Note, that's part of it. And then, of course, as I had said, trying to minimize on the names, and in a ratio of just 7 Gold Pride names, I think 1 Rollerballer is suitable if I'm playing Natural Head. Now, for the generic monsters, Psychic Tracker, I do feel like Psychic Tracker has merited its spot in Punk once more. I hadn't played it in the past, but I see now that it is a great extender. You can search off a Dragon Drive to make Chariot carry in those cases where you can't get the extra level 3 body onto field. So this is nice. Also, I was playing Ogre in the past, but Ogre doesn't seem that great right now, and so changing Ogre into Psychic Tracker gives you a lot more flexibility in your plays moving forward. Finally, the 3 Fenrir, great card, should have gone hit, but since it didn't get hit, we get to benefit off of it. I am proxying 1 because one of my friends wanted to use it for their tier list, and I don't feel like you always need 3, but ideally I would be playing 3. So 3 Fenrir, don't need to explain it that much, and this is a perfect segue into the hand traps. So my excuse for what could potentially be considered a suboptimal hand trap lineup is the fact that the format's still fresh. We don't completely know what's going to be the best deck. Of course, that could just be my inexperience speaking, but I'm just being tentative in my choices here. So the 3 Droll, I'm just anticipating more combo. The 3 Ash, it's a great card that blanket addresses most of the format. And then 3 Imperm, same thing, and of course, per usual, you can use it as a going second card to negate your opponent's monsters that they put up. So these are the main deck monsters, including Imperm, which I'm just putting in here because it's technically a hand trap. Otherwise, we will get on with these spells and traps. So we should be able to zoom through these spells and traps very quickly because for the most part, these are relatively norms in Gold Pride Punk lists. The 3 E-Tally, 1 Extreme Session, you have to play those if you're playing Punk for the obvious reason that this is the extender. This is one of the reasons why you can resource gain so much. The 2's Better Luck Next Time. I do feel like 2 is the correct ratio. You could substitute 1 for Crowd Goes Wild if you want, but I didn't feel like it was that great of a card to do so. I have considered though putting in the Reborn Quick Play that Gold Pride has, but I haven't tested it quite yet, which is why I'm still only playing 2 Better Luck Next Time for now. Finally, the 1 traps, your Start Your Engines, Dangerous Gabu, they are in here because you can search them of course. I have not considered playing Nashi Warrior Surprise, and I have not considered bumping Start Your Engines up to more than 1 copy. I know some people are playing 2 or 3, but even though it isn't hard once per turn, I don't feel like you need to play multiple copies since ideally, if you're playing this deck and you get your full combo off, you set your 1 Start Your Engines, you should probably be winning because the Gold Pride Punk end board is so strong already, so you don't really need the 2nd copy usually for follow-up plays. Also, opening this card going first, even if you can set it as an additional interruption, that's potentially another card that you don't have in hand to extend through your opponent's plays if instead they have a hand trap to stop what you're doing, and or whatever else that be. So these are the spells and traps, and I will now zoom into the extra deck. For the extra deck, I feel like the extra deck is mostly solved for Gold Pride Punk in terms of its great strides. There are a few texts that you can switch in or out, but a lot of these choices I feel like are informed by not only my own testing, but also by other people's deck lists, which you will see online. So we'll talk first Gold Pride, then Punk, then the generic stuff. The Gold Pride names, Pinballer, Chariot Carry, Starleon, you have to play them. You could play more than 1 copy of Chariot Carry, but I never found that to be too necessary, even in those cases where you do lose your 1 copy of Chariot Carry, maybe to like a strike or something, or anything that negates it and destroys it and doesn't let it loop back. I felt like 1 is perfectly fine. The 1 Rising Carp, 2 Dragon Drive, 1 Amazing Dragon, and honorary Punk card that is Psychic and Punisher. So 1 Rising Carp, 1 Amazing Dragon, 1 Psychic and Punisher, these should make sense. Boss Monster, required for not only follow-up plays, but can be used as a Shirakusai quick effect synchro summoned monster. And then the Rising Carp you need it for fusion summoning. 2 Dragon Drive, I know a lot of people have cut it down to 1. I still like 2. Again, it's most likely just my bias with me playing Punk for so long that I got used to 2 and I kind of just don't want to cut it down to 1. Realistically though, if you wanted extra deck space in this particular list for whatever other extra deck monsters you needed, you could cut this down to 1. Now, Baron, Dragite. Baron I feel like is necessary if you're playing Fenrir, since you can easily make it with Fenrir plus any Punk name. Dragite isn't necessary. I just continue to like this card because it's a great interruption not everyone expects, since they aren't always considering the fact that you have Rising Carp or Chariot Carry or Captain Carry in graveyard to make it live. Also, when you do get drolled, this is one of the few strong plays you can make where it is Shirakusai plus Dragite plus Gabu set, usually it's Shirakusai plus Dragite and then some cards in hand. That's the best you can do under droll. Without it, you don't do too much. So for the XYZ, since we covered all the synchros, Zeus should be self-explanatory. It's Zeus, you can make it. The one break sword, this is in here over Fortune Tune. I understand why Fortune Tune is played for obvious reasons. It is one of the ways to guarantee you get the Zeus, but I liked how break sword just offered more flexibility. Dingrisu, definitely one of the better rank 8s you can play. That's that. Harbinger, I just like the spell negation it offers. I know a lot of people might still be playing number 90. The fact that it's so expensive is partially the reason why I'm not playing it. Also, I'm not sure if Nibiru is going to be all that relevant since it doesn't completely stop some of the best decks in the format right now. So Harbinger is in here as a budget option and as a nice tech. The last card we need to address here is the Donner, Dagger for Hire. I just wanted a Link monster in here since sometimes you need to get bodies off the field and you can't always synchro summon, for example if you're under D barrier. Also, Donner helps you out. Some random cards, including Baguska, which aren't super relevant, but they do show up from time to time. So this is my extra deck. I'm gonna briefly talk about my side deck and then we'll get on with the concluding remarks. We're not gonna waste too much time on the side deck just because this is a relatively subjective portion of the deck. Depending on your local area and or whatever tournaments you're going to, your format might be different than what my locals format is. For my locals format, I just really didn't like how many tier players there were, so I had Crow, Bell in the main. Crow can still hit Unchained, and it can hit a lot of random combo decks, so I feel like it's pretty nice. Bell, same idea, for more or less. Ghost Ogre, so I did like how Ghost Ogre did hit a deck like Flunder pretty damn well, and so I have it in here, so in the cases where I play against Flunder, I can side it in as a 1-of that can be searched off of the Dragon Drive. Otherwise, you probably could replace it. It's just me potentially being immature in my deck choices. The one Change of Heart, it's Change of Heart, one Duster. I just threw in some 1-ofs because it was a little bit early in the format, and I was just like, these cards seem like they'd be good, and so far they have been good. I have 3 Cosmic Cyclone. I do believe this card is great this format because you get to out all those random 1-of traps. And then the one-dimensional barrier, I just really don't like the fusion decks, so I kept this in here for that. And then sometimes you hit random decks like Exorcister or whatever other decks that are polarized on one particular extra deck summoning mechanic. So this is my side deck. Feel free to take it if you want or change it up. Again, it's very subjective. Otherwise, we'll get on with the concluding remarks. The only thing I want to say for the concluding remarks section is the fact that I do believe Gold Pride Punk is a solid contender for this format. I know I do technically say that every single format and every single deck profile post, but I do mean it this time. If you recall, the first time this combination of archetypes was released was during Tearlament format, and that was near impossible for us to play. Then after that, Arise-Heart was legal for quite some time, and that deck was pretty damn hard for this deck to deal with, especially since Arise-Heart turned off Foxy Tune and Ogre Dance, and Deer Note for that matter. Now that Arise-Heart's banned, now that Tearlament is in a spot where we can deal with it, and now that the top formats of the deck aren't super oppressive, at least to my knowledge, a stable format means a stable deck like Gold Pride Punk can do its best. So I'm very hopeful, not only for myself to do well with this deck, but for all of you to do well with this deck, should you choose to build it and play it like I have chosen. So this was my take on Gold Pride Punk in the month of October 2023. Hopefully you all enjoyed this deck profile. And if you could, remember to like and subscribe. I do appreciate it. It does help the channel grow. If you had any comments or questions throughout the video, please leave a comment down below. I'm happy to reply to you. Otherwise, I'll cue the outro.